Good morning, and thank you so much, Andrea, for inviting me to share my books and my story of my journey of becoming an author with the Lakewood Public Library audience. I really appreciate this opportunity and hope that many of the audience listening today and in the future will be able to also enjoy my books. So my name's Laura McDermott, and I am a very, very brand new author. So my first book came out a little less than a year ago, so it hasn't even been out for a year. So brand new author, and I like to tell people my day job, I'm an IT program manager, and it uses a great deal of the left side of my brain. And so I started writing books actually to get that right side fired up and engaged. So day to day, I'm focused on technology, delivery, plans, project plans and schedules and budgets, and writing really gave me that outlet, that creative expression of photography and birding and colors and fun things that I really didn't get to use as much during the day in my normal job. So the books I've put out are called Lessons from a Birdbrain, and the term Lessons from a Birdbrain is really about ideas and concepts that have resonated with me and really solidified for me later in life. And so some of these things are very simple, simple things about slowing down to enjoy the present, simple things about how I get to an attitude of gratitude that I wanted to share. And so what I've done is created this series of books that focuses on the mindfulness and the lessons, but it also gave me the opportunity to take my hobby that was birding and pair it up with this idea of mindfulness and lessons in life. So each of my books has 21 chapters, and they focus on 21 different birds. So the chapters start with an overview of the bird and something I found interesting about the bird. One of the things I've tried to do in these books is make it more than just an average birding guide. There's wonderful birding guides out there like Sibley that talk about things like how many eggs are in a cowbird's nest. I wanted to make this something that might engage even more people in bird watching. So each of the birds I cover whatever I found interesting about that particular bird. So some birds have very fascinating migration patterns where there's shorebirds that go from the top of the world to the bottom of the world and back again in a single year. There are chapters where I focus on their breeding behaviors. Some birds have very, very fascinating breeding behaviors, which just make me laugh. So I wanted to share things like that about each of these birds. So 21 chapters paired with one of these reflections and then finished off with a quote. Again, simple lessons, but my idea behind it was that especially for people in Ohio, I could share insights about birds in Ohio and share things that I found helpful in my life and in my own personal growth. So I will start with, I'll go backwards in time because that's how I wrote the books. Lessons from a Birdbrain, most recent release is Winter. So this focuses on, and I've failed to mention, the books are focused on birds of Ohio. In other words, birds that you can find in Ohio, because one of the things I found early in my birding career, so to speak, was that there aren't a lot of regional books about birds. So these are very focused on birds of Ohio, and all the photographs in these books I took in Ohio, all the way from Kelly's Island to Lake Hope down in the southeastern part of Ohio. But back to Winter, Ohio is, just as it sounds, the birds that spend their time here through the cold winter months. And I'll open up and just show you, let's see, Cedar Waxwing. I'll show you a chapter here. It's very short, quick read. And the interesting one, I'll just, spoiler alert, the interesting thing about Cedar Waxwings is they actually eat fermented berries and act drunk. So I didn't know any birds did that. So that's the kind of thing I focus on. And then I talk about, there was a bunch of assumptions I made about Cedar Waxwings. Why did they have the name they had? I assumed that no birds got drunk, but apparently Cedar Waxwings get drunk. And so then my quote for this one is, "Assumptions are made and most assumptions are wrong," by Albert Einstein. The other component of the books is I include a hacks chapter in each of the books. So the hacks chapter is a set of hints, tips, tricks, however you want to say it, that I found helpful in birding and learning how to be a better birder, in mindfulness, in learning to slow my mind and be more present, and then in some cases photography. And I have to say, of the three things, I am the least skilled and still learning the most about photography, but in each case, I try to share some things that I started not knowing and now I know. So for example, with birding, there's wonderful websites such as eBird. So eBird is I think it's national, it might even go beyond, it might be all over North America, where people share the birds that they have recorded. So it's a great place to go check out, hey, if I want to go to Rocky River Park tomorrow, what were the birds that people were seeing at Rocky River Park yesterday? So that's the kind of hacks I include in each of my books about how to become a better birder, how to become more present and mindful, and a little bit about photography. So then I will move on to my migration celebration. So Migration Celebration is actually the second book, and I wrote this to cover both spring and fall. The same birds that basically move through Ohio in the fall going south come back in the spring. So I decided to cover it in one book. But Ohio is a super fascinating place to be in terms of the migrations, and I understand this video is going to be released in the spring, and it is such an amazing geographic location because basically most birds who migrate actually go up through any part of the central United States, up into Canada, up into Alaska, and the Arctic, and then they come back through Ohio to go to eastern shores, southern shores, some go to Florida, some go to Central America, and even South America. So the Migration Celebration focuses on those fascinating birds. And the other thing I will point out is my really good friend and partner in crime birding, Jane Atkinson, is the artist who did the art on both the winter book. She did this cover, and then she also did this cover. And as you can see on this cover, this little bird has a suitcase. So we're always amazed by the migration journey. And so this is a yellow-rumped warbler carrying its suitcase, because we always talk about how incredible and amazing it is that these little tiny, in some cases less than an ounce or maybe 4-ounce birds go from these great distances, and they must travel light, and they must really know how to pack a good suitcase. So Jane Atkinson did this wonderful artwork, and then on the back she created the signpost theme that talks, it basically speaks to mindfulness and joy and presence and gratitude, and some of the things that again I learned how to be better at later in life. I actually teared up when I saw this because it so captures the essence and the ideas and concepts that I wanted to share with the audience. The other shout out is for my mom. My mom, Gail Thornhill, is the editor of the second and third books. So whenever I would send her my material, she would say, well, you might want to phrase this, or you might want to, and I thought, you know what, you would be a great editor. So my mom, I won't mention my mom's age, but at the young age she is, I just want to, congratulate her and shout out Gail Thornhill, edited both the second and third books and did a wonderful job. And then my first book, again, I kind of did this backwards, but my first book is Summer Lessons from a Birdbrain, and as you might expect, this is birds I took pictures of in Ohio during the summer. So many of these birds will be here all year. When I first set out doing these books, I didn't really know some of who migrated, who didn't migrate, who stays, who doesn't stay. So these are summer birds or birds you could find in Ohio during the summer. And then the cover art here is done by a wonderful professional out of Texas named Katie Reiser and edited by John Byram. And the summer book here, the summer cover is Prothonotary Warbler, and that's one of my very, very favorite birds. So all three books are available in a variety of I'll say a variety of different channels and formats. So there's paperback, hardcover and EPUB. All three of them are available on Amazon. I'm working on getting them available more widely. Some are, I think, on Walmart.com, Target.com, and I know Andrea's going to have these books in the Lakewood Public Library. So I truly hope that some of the folks watching today are able to enjoy the book, get the book out of the library, read it electronically, read it hardback, paperback, whatever suits your fancy. But the idea I had going into this was share what I've learned, share more about Ohio birds, and most importantly, really express myself in a way I have not done as much up to this point in my life, but I'm really coming to appreciate and enjoy in my golden years. So again, thank you to Lakewood Public Library. Thank you to Chuck for opening up your studio. Thank you to Andrea for inviting me, and happy birding.